Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin Hodge. Tonight on your WZMQ 19 News, Aspen Ridge Middle School in Ishpeming has a new basketball court thanks to Robbins Flooring. We'll check it out. Plus, more on the efforts from Michigan Community College leaders to increase mental health support for students. And UP Representative Dave Preston lays out his top goals for the legislature for 2026. Your 19 News at 11 starts now.
Live from the UP, this is WZMQ 19 News at 11.
Welcome in. We are shifting gears from that very, very dangerous cold where we had those wind chill values as low as 50 below zero, and it's all about perspective. It's a slow climb that we are on this week with those recovering temperatures. Tomorrow, it's still a bit cold though, single digits and teens for those high temperatures with a few leftover snow flurries, and it will be breezy, so those feels like will still be down to about 15 to 20 below as you start your day. So keep that same mindset of dressing up in layers, but I'll let you know when we can expect a little bit of a warm up in just a few minutes.
Kelly, thank you very much. Robbins Flooring of Ishpeming has completed its most recent project at Aspen Ridge Middle School. WZMQ's Andrew Hand spoke with the plant director about how the expanding company is keeping true to its community.
From the NBA to back where it all begins, Ishpeming-based Robbins Flooring is making sure they can keep the UP in great hands while continuing to grow as a company.
I've talked quite a bit about the portable basketball floors that we do for the NBA and for big college programs and whatnot. So I want to make sure that the people in the area know that it is important for Robbins to do stuff locally and make sure that we participate in the school districts.
The Aspen Ridge Middle School now houses the plant's newest UP-based project. The nearly 11,000 square foot court is made up of local sugar maple and pine and is located in the school's auxiliary gymnasium. Today, Robbins staff came by to view their finished product, as it's not often they have the chance to stand on one of their own courts.
They basically see the flooring go out the door. They never get a chance to see the final product, so this is kind of important for me to give them the opportunity to actually see a finished product. I've had several employees that actually went to school at Aspen Ridge Middle School, and for them to be able to see this new gymnasium with flooring that they had a hand in building was like a sense of pride for them.
At the end of 2025, Robbins solidified its long-lived small-town impacts, becoming the primary provider of court floors across the entire NBA. Next to the professional-grade court, the partnership has also allowed for Robbins to donate 6 custom basketballs to the Patriots varsity program. Athletic staff say the entire school couldn't be more excited for its new installation.
All the coaches want to get in here to practice. All the youth teams try to get in here as well. So I know everyone's pumped about it. Having our students have the ability to get in here is great for our community and our school.
Although the court is home to mainly gym classes and practices, its first game will be hosted on February 19th. Reporting in Ishpeming, Andrew Hands, WZMQ 19 News.
Today, the president of Bay College was featured in a panel discussion regarding student mental health. Our own Escanaba Bureau reporter Lily Simmons has some highlights from the discussion, including ways Bay has successfully advocated for campus wellness initiatives.
We've learned that there's so much amazing work being done on the ground at each campus to support student mental health, but a lot of the times that work can feel like it's being done in siloed and there's not a lot of communication and collaboration.
That's why the Mental Health Improvement Through Community Colleges initiative invited representatives from Bay College, Grand Rapids Community College, and other organizations to address the need for mental health investments.
We see that across the state, over half of Michigan Community College students are facing clinically significant symptoms of depression, anxiety, non-suicidal self-injury, or suicidality. 44% of students are reporting that their mental health is interfering with their academics.
When those issues go untreated, many students experience a dip in their GPA, a lack of motivation, and difficulty with time management. Those students also become more likely to drop out of college. To support students who may be struggling with their mental health, Bay College kept the subject at the forefront when crafting its current strategic plan.
Until you see yourself in the data, you will always be a part of the problem and not the solution. I did listening tours. One of the things that rose to the top is their well-being and care.
According to Bay President Dr. Narita Hughes, part of that plan is creating a holistic student experience, ensuring they have what they need to find success in every area of life.
We want you to confer your degree, but if you are mentally not prepared, physically not prepared, or if you're experiencing food insecurities or any other inability, what we're doing is is all for naught. It's not going to resolve anything to get them across the finish line if we don't address what's preventing them from moving forward.
In places like the Upper Peninsula, resources are often limited. So Hughes says getting faculty and staff on board with mental health initiatives and looking out for their well-being can make all the difference for community college students.
We have to reprioritize, and if our students are not well, and if our employees are not well, it is that domino effect. And so what can we provide to make sure that this is really our North Star that we're trying to aim for?
Reporting in Escanaba, Lily Simmons, WZMQ 19 News.
One state lawmaker from the Upper Peninsula says energy costs, wildlife management, and rural health care will be top priorities when the legislature returns this year. Our Michigan Capitol correspondent Sophia Murphy talked with Representative Dave Preston about his priorities for the year as he prepares a campaign for the Michigan Senate.
State Representative Dave Preston says one of his top priorities for 2026 is energy policy and reliability in the UP.
We're going to continue fighting for the natural gas generation up in the UP. You know, we thought we had a deal at the end of the last session just before the holiday break.
Preston says that includes fighting to keep natural gas generation in the UP and pushing back on policies he believes drive up utility bills. He says without affordable and consistent power, the region risks losing industry and jobs.
We are staring down a gun barrel on energy costs that stand to wipe out all of our industry.
Another major focus, accountability at the Department of Natural Resources. He says that includes pushing for predator control and a wolf season if federal protections are lifted. Preston says sportsmen have been vocal about the issue.
Our whitetail population is decimated. That's one of our core, I would say one of the core things that we have to offer up in the UP for not only people downstate, but people from Wisconsin and all over the country is a UP experience of whitetail hunting.
Rural health care and emergency services are also high on his list, with some UP residents traveling hours for advanced trauma care.
When you're running emergent, and that's lights and sirens from Luce County, headed to Green Bay, I mean, that's how bad it is.
Preston says fixing EMS shortages, supporting volunteer firefighters, and stabilizing rural hospitals are critical to keeping communities alive. He warns the Upper Peninsula cannot afford to keep losing people and jobs.
We need an economy to get kickstarted in the UP because, like I've said for a long time, the UP has been busy dying for over 30 to 40 years, and we've got to get busy growing or there's not going to be any of us left.
From Michigan's capital, Sophia Murphy, WZMQ 19 News.
The city of Bangor, Maine says everyone died aboard a small private jet when it crashed during snowy weather at Bangor International Airport Sunday night. In a news release, the airport says that according to the flight manifest, 6 people were on the Bombardier Challenger business jet when it crashed on takeoff at the airport about 200 miles north of Boston. That was a change from information shared earlier, and as of this afternoon, the identities of the travelers had not yet been released.
Emergency protocols were immediately activated and first responders were on scene in under a minute. In addition to the Maine Air National Guard initial response with their fire and rescue vehicles, the Bangor Fire Department and approximately 10 other municipalities responded to the scene.
The airport director says de-icing operations were taking place at the airport at the time of the crash. The airport, which is about 200 miles north of Boston, as mentioned, remained closed today in the aftermath of the incident. The FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating. The White House is making changes to its immigration enforcement leadership team in Minnesota in the wake of the fatal shooting on Saturday of an intensive care unit nurse, Alex Preddy. This comes as Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says President Trump told him during a phone call today that the federal government agreed to look into reducing ICE forces in his state. Erica Brown has the latest tonight.
On the ground in Minneapolis, a growing memorial for 37-year-old Alex Preddy, the ICU nurse shot and killed by federal agents Saturday. In the wake of the shooting, CBS News has learned Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino is now likely to leave his Minnesota command soon to be reassigned back to his base in California. Bovino was in charge of the immigration crackdown in Minneapolis when Preddy was killed and defended the operation in the shooting's aftermath.
Our Title VIII immigration mission continues unabated here in Minneapolis, despite yesterday's tragedy.
This comes as President Trump announced he'd spoken with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz directly Monday, saying the two leaders now seem to be on a similar wavelength.
We hope Governor Walz will do the right thing and continue to work with President Trump to keep the American people safe.
In a statement, Governor Walz's office said the president agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota and working with the state in a more coordinated fashion on immigration enforcement regarding violent criminals. President Trump also posted that he's sending his so-called border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota, who will report to him. On Capitol Hill, the threat of a partial government shutdown is looming, with Senate Democrats and at least one independent now refusing to support a spending package that would fund the Department of Homeland Security.
But I can't vote for a bill that includes ICE funding under these circumstances.
Senate Republicans will need the help of 7 Democrats or independents to keep the government open, with funding set to lapse at the end of the week.
Kelly Rowland has your first warning weather forecast when we come back. Plus, we'll see how the rest of the country is dealing with these winter storms. And an Iron River native is set to make another trip to the Winter Olympics. We'll show you how the community is sending off Nick Baumgartner when we come back.
Now, WZMQ TV 19 First Warning Weather with meteorologist Kelly Rowland.
And welcome back. Taking a deeper look at this cold temperature that we're still battling, trying to climb out of to get closer to that average of 21. But just look at the range of what types of conditions we can have in the UP at this time of the year. The record high, 53 degrees, set back in 1973, but we hit 5 for today. That's a big temperature difference, and it just goes to show it really just depends on what global temperature patterns are happening. And we have seen that major cold surge moving in, and it put our feels like temperatures last week to well below zero in a very dangerous range for frostbite. And it's going to be cold this week, still below average, but at least we're on that slow road to a recovery temperature-wise, that average at 21, and we get pretty close to it once we get to Saturday, which is our last day of January, and we will be much more seasonal and a little more comfortable. Remember, it's all about perspective. In respect to last week, I would say 21 is a great improvement for a high instead of 21 below for wind chill values. Slightly above average temperatures is that that temperature trend for the next 6 to 10 days, so that's also a good sign. We're shifting gears from the dark blues where we had those well below average temps, and now we're going to start turning the page as we go into a new month. Can't promise that the rest of February as a whole will be above average, but at least to start, it'll be a nice kickoff to a new month. Here's your first morning weather futurecast, and because we have those winds from the north and the northwest, and there's still open waters, of course, we don't have a completely frozen lake here. That does keep the opportunity open for some lake effect snow, as you know, which is really going to be all the types of snow that we're seeing this week. If we get any snow, it's because of lake effect, and it really just depends where you are. Places like Munising for Wednesday night could see snow, but then you might get some leftover rays of sunshine in Marquette before the sun sets. So very isolated and scattered snow showers for the rest of this week as we recover those temperatures. And because we have those recovering temperatures, there's no cold weather advisory, extreme cold watcher warning. There's no weather alerts at all, which is a good sign. Even though we don't have that official cold weather alert, you still need to prepare for these types of feels like temperatures. It's going to be breezy, so especially out to Ironwood in the places where we saw the very cold temperatures not too long ago, about 20 below, but then places like Munising about 9 or 10 below as you get your day started. But then throughout the day, it'll improve slightly, but really for Tuesday and Wednesday, we are looking at those improvements, but Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll still have that mindset of dressing in layers. Here's your Wednesday morning, not much difference. Again, slight improvements, but we're all still a little bit in the freezer before we can get to the weekend. So we are in that moderate risk level for frostbite for tomorrow. If you're not covering your exposed skin or you're outside for a long period of time without dressing in layers, we could see those frostbite symptoms starting to kick in about 20 to 30 minutes. Again, if we got through these last few days and last week, then this is going to be a win overall. We'll see temperatures in the teens, and then we climb up to the 20s just in time for the weekend as we say goodbye to January and hello to February.
Kelly, thank you again. The National Weather Service has issued cold weather advisories from Montana to the Florida Panhandle as a deep freeze takes hold of a large part of the country. Residents in the north are digging out from snow while power lines in the south remain frozen. Jared Hill has the latest from New York Central Park.
Residents in Worcester, Massachusetts broke out the elbow grease.
It's just deep, so you got to go at it a couple times before you make any headway.
Digging their cars out of snow drifts after the weekend's powerful winter storm.
I'd rather be upstairs with my feet up right now, but it's okay.
In Philadelphia, the young at heart took the easy way down the famed Rocky Steps as trucks tried to clear a path through the city. New England is no stranger to snowy scenes, but the accumulation in Vermont was too much for these pups.
It's hard today because she's old with arthritis and she's short with little legs.
This polar bear at the Memphis Zoo felt right at home. Nearly a foot of snow fell here in New York City's Central Park. And with the temperature not expected to rise above freezing for the next week, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. City kids took a break from virtual school to hit the hills, but even fun seekers can grow snow weary.
I'm definitely going to get sick of it. Going to school and her going to work, it's going to be a problem.
The snowfall is finished in much of the country, but the danger of frigid cold and ice remains. While parts of Georgia are thawing out, the storm knocked out electricity for hundreds of thousands across the south. Tree limbs and power lines in parts of Mississippi are crusted in ice, as officials warn it could take days to restore power.
President Trump approved federal emergency disaster declarations for 12 states. The storm is blamed for at least a dozen deaths. As Kelly says, winter conditions have led to ice thick enough to skate on. Currently at the Lower Harbor Ore Dock, about 6 inches of ice has formed, welcoming great conditions to bring out the ice skates or just carefully walk. As always, caution is advised on the ice. Be sure to be on the lookout for any deep cracks or bumps if you're skating. Parking can be found along the north side of Marquette One Place with shore access at the end of the parking lot. Iron River native Nick Baumgartner is heading back to the Winter Olympics. Before heading to Europe, the Olympic gold medalist in snowboarding made a stop in his hometown to thank his fans. Our own John Truitt was in the crowd Saturday night to say bon voyage and good luck to a UP Olympic champion.
At 44, Nick Baumgartner is at the top of his game. After qualifying for his 5th Winter Olympic Games, Nick wanted to spend some time at home, hanging out with his home team at his home base, ski brule in Iron River.
There's no one with a support system like I have, and just being able to represent these amazing people and to go out there and have their support makes us dangerous, man. I'm coming with a lot of confidence from the work that I did and from the support system that I have. Without these people and without this community, I don't get to where I am.
In a sport where being behind by a half a second is considered slow, 44 might be considered old. But don't tell Nick that.
Everyone in society tells you what you can and what you can't do. You're too old to do that. You're not good enough. You're not from the right place. And I'm here to show you, and my story is here to tell you, if you're willing to work, anything is possible and you can do it.
Out on the hill, it was -7 with a wind chill of 40 below. But inside, the warmth of the crowd was like a welcoming hearth. Each person recalling their own Nick story, where time and again, this amazing athlete showed us what an amazing person he really is.
He was the guy that would stop and see somebody struggling and take 15 minutes with that person and help them. He's a very giving person.
And so in less than 2 weeks, the world's attention will be on Milan and Cortina in Italy, and a handful of the world's greatest athletes, including the UP's very own Nick Baumgartner, hoping to make Olympic history one more time. In Iron River, John Truitt, WZMQ 19 News.
Baumgartner will be competing in the snowboard cross next month in Cortina. Opening ceremonies take place February 6th. Still to come on your 19 News, we have an update on the e-bike task force in Marquette as they hold a regularly scheduled meeting. We're back in 2 minutes.
You're watching WZMQ 19 News, live and local, with Kevin Hodge.
Welcome back, everyone. For months, the Marquette City Commission e-bike task force has been listening to residents, bike riders, pedestrians, business leaders, and tourism officials to find the best way to handle the rapid increase in the use of e-bikes. The City Commission held a work session tonight to hear recommendations from Carrie Gottlieb, the chair of the e-bike task force. The recommendations are to allow all classes of e-bikes to access the multi-use path, allow the use of one wheel and other low-speed motorized devices, ban e-bikes on sidewalks, implement a safe and prudent behavior/reckless riding ordinance, and designate slow zones in congested areas. The final recommendations still need to be vetted by the city attorney and finalized by the full commission. If you send any time-sensitive documents by mail, listen up. A change at the U.S. Postal Service could mean major adjustments for when you drop those in the mail. Jared Hill has tips on how to make sure your mail arrives on time.
Mailing time-sensitive documents? Well, time is now even more of the essence. Days before the start of the new year, the U.S. Postal Service announced the date you drop mail in the mailbox may no longer be the date it's officially processed and postmarked.
How significant is this?
I think it's significant in a couple of ways.
Economist Elena Patel follows the Postal Service for the Brookings Institute.
People who are mailing things very close to deadlines should be even more aware of and maybe make changes.
USPS posted on its website, while we are not changing our postmarking practices, we have made adjustments to our transportation operations. The shift could have a big impact on people who pay bills, vote, or file their taxes through the mail.
Anything that's getting mailed to a government agency should be sent hand-stamped, registered mail, return receipt requested.
The National Society of Tax Professionals is echoing the recommendation from USPS. Mail documents a few days early or go inside the post office and get the date stamped at the counter, what's called a manual postmark. The adjustment is part of the agency's 10-year plan to cut costs and restore profitability, concentrating processing work in larger regional hubs with new high-speed sorting machines.
All postal operators are basically trying to reimagine a business model that for the last 250 years has been, pretty stable. It's only since 2007 that things have gone awry.
Forging a future for service shifted by technology.
Experts say one concern is people with mobility issues or those in rural communities far from a post office that they may find it difficult to get to a physical location. Separately, USPS raised the price to ship some packages starting earlier this month. Adrien Brody steps onto the Broadway stage for the first time, while Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista team up for an explosive new thriller. Gwen Bumgarner has tonight's entertainment headlines.
Actor Adrien Brody is making his Broadway debut alongside Tessa Thompson in The Fear of 13.
I lived in silence for more than 2 years.
The play is based on the true story of Nick Yaris, who spent 22 years on death row. His conviction was overturned in 2004. The Fear of 13 debuts this spring and is partnering with the Innocence Project, which works to exonerate wrongfully convicted people. Actors Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista are joining forces for the fourth time. The co-stars spent time in London promoting their latest film, The Wrecking Crew. The movie is described as a stunt-heavy thriller as two half-brothers investigate the death of their father in Hawaii.
I blew up their car and then it landed on yours.
The Wrecking Crew will be released on Amazon Prime Video on Wednesday. Social media brings Victoria Beckham back-to-back viral moments. The first, when her son Brooklyn publicly accused her of sabotaging the first dance at his 2022 wedding. The second, the revival of her 2001 single, Not Such an Innocent Girl. Influencer Natalie Brereton was part of the push that brought it back to the top of the UK digital charts.
Look, if there's one thing about the UK, we as a nation, we love to be petty. So I think people have come together for that reason, to get to the top of the chart.
Don't go away. We'll have your final look at weather after this.
And a final look at your forecast as we go through the depths of winter. We are past that major cold surge, but not completely back to seasonal conditions. Those overnight lows will be into the single digits, and with that breeze kicking in for tomorrow, it's going to be pretty hard to see those high temperatures get warmer than about 16 degrees. So single digits and low teens with some snow flurries very scattered across the UP. And as you head out the door tomorrow morning, anywhere from about 10 to 20, maybe 25 below zero here for the feels like temperatures, with some slight improvements throughout the day. But just remember to keep the same things that we've been saying with the covering exposed skin and dressing in layers, because we could see some frostbite issues if an extended period of time outside without being dressed properly. Some slightly above average temperatures though as we shift gears from well below average to some more seasonal and comfortable conditions. We have to get through a little bit more of a cold stretch with some flurries before we get some clearing of the snow and temperatures in the 20s for the weekend.
Kelly, thank you again. And finally tonight, American climber Alex Honnold made history over the weekend, climbing a 101-story skyscraper in Taiwan. Honnold used his bare hands and wore no protective gear. Netflix viewers around the world and people on the ground and inside the tower watched the display of human strength and perseverance.
It's exactly what you look for in an objective, where it's like a singular feature that calls out, like, you should climb this.
It took Honnold about 90 minutes to scale the more than 1,600-foot tower, which is Taiwan's tallest building. That's all for tonight, everyone. We'll catch you back here tomorrow at 6/5 Central. See you then.
Lily Broadcasting stands with the people of Iran.